This video is a perfect example of what someone who's absolutely delusional, narcissistic, and has a high sense of self looks like.
Hi, Matt. I'm transgender. I'm born and raised here in New Mexico. I have a graduate degree in information technology, marketing, business, and finance. I own my own home. I pay taxes. I have a six-figure job. I'm a respected professional in Albuquerque. I'm a mother. My life experience is that I'm an awesome person. I am well-liked.
When you analyze Matt Walsh, he looks absolutely exhausted.
I think I'm pretty cool. You touched on something. You said something earlier that for you, when somebody calls you a man, it doesn't faze you because, like, you just know that you're a man. That was interesting to me because I feel the same way about my identity as a woman.
But just because you feel the same way doesn't make it true. I mean, I think it was Ben Shapiro who said in a quote on Twitter somewhere, "Facts don't care about your feelings." I noticed this trans mother in the beginning, they started describing how they're this amazing person and they're professional and they're respected and, you know, kind of like almost adding credentials to who they are. A woman is a woman. She doesn't need to tell you her background or justify if she's high value and what she does. Or if you're a woman, you're just born a woman and there's nothing you can do about it. It's not something you can control.
My question leading up to this, you've asserted that no one would ever see me as a woman, that nobody would ever see or could see a transgender person as a woman, and yet I have dozens of friends from diverse backgrounds, women from the reservation, a woman from Japan, several immigrant women. I have my coworkers, I have my boss, my VP, my CEO, all respecting me as a woman.
There are people who are just honest and they don't want to live in delusion and want to just live in reality and are not willing to accept someone who created a bubble and constantly want affirmation and validation that they are something they're not. A lot of these people who are like, yeah, you can be anything, yeah, no, it doesn't mean anything, they're just fake. They're not being genuine, they're fake, and they're playing semantic games.
All of these people assure me, like, I'm a woman. They'll tell me, girl, like, there is no way you are a man.
Girl, you're like such a woman. Girl, yeah, your ass looks great in that. Oh my god, no, girl, you don't need to lose weight. Girl, you're fine just the way you are, honey. And then when that girl's not in that group, oh my god, have you noticed she gained like 5 pounds, girlfriend? Girl, you know, it's funny because I'm starting to realize that those people who are portrayed by mainstream media to be quite mean, to be nasty, they're just honest. Sure, we can argue about the delivery.
See me as a woman.
Why?
So the question.
Okay.
I'm just loving Matt Walsh's face right now. He's like, how he, you know, he wanted to ask a question and she's still going on, you know. Matt Walsh is well trained when it comes to dealing with these delusional liberals.
See me as a woman.
Why?
So the question.
Okay.
How can you assert that nobody would ever see me as a woman when my material experience tells me you're wrong?
Because remember, being a woman is just, you know, styling your hair, putting makeup on, wearing something typically feminine, even though these are the same liberals who push and trying to break the gender stereotypes. Like, you know, not all girls play with girly toys. This ideology deserves to be called out. Being a woman is just wearing, you know, feminine clothes, wearing high heels and going out. It's nothing to do with biology and the fact that you get period every month and the fact women are crazy. So it's nothing to do with that. The fact that we have a completely different hormone profile to male.
Okay. It's interesting that that's the part of my talk you chose to ask a question about, because that's not in my talk at all. I don't believe I said that no one would ever see you as a woman. I mean, it's possible, I suppose, that you could fool someone. Now, you brought this up, so I have to tell you that you brought this up. You've put your identity on the table for conversation. And so I'm going to say you wouldn't fool me at all. I mean, I see a man 100%. And I think that most people would. Now, the fact that you have people in your life who are saying to you, oh, you're totally a woman, it's exactly what I'm talking about. No one in my life has ever once said to me, You're totally a man, Matt. You know, if a friend of mine called me on the phone and said, listen, Matt, I want you to know you're really a man, I would think that there was something wrong with him. I would say, why are you saying that at all? It doesn't make any sense. So the fact that this is a conversation to begin with tells me, it only proves the point that I'm trying to make, that your identity, even in your own mind, is up for, it's something that you need to be assured of.
When Matt Walsh mentions your identity as something that you need to be assured of, he 100% is spot on here. Watching this video, I can't help but feel that this trans mother, I could be wrong, this is my opinion, I feel like they have some sort of mental health going on. That is just the vibe I get from this person. They lack basic self-awareness skills. They seem to be heavily delusional. And if you notice, when they hear like this trans mother, when they hear the audience applauding them or kind of agreeing with them, even though it's not the majority, obviously, they tend to kind of like pluck her up and like feel more confident. It is clear that this person is highly inflicted by the idea of the century of self. It's quite selfish, it's quite narcissistic. Personally, for me, do whatever you want. I would never ever tell my children, you know, like point at this person, a guy who's wearing high heels, you know, wants to appear feminine. I would never like encourage or allow my children to point at someone and be like, oh my god, what are they doing? No, I don't allow that, because we all live under, you know, secularism umbrella. We all have the right to exist equally and stuff. But the issue is they're introducing this baseless ideology onto children. And that's what a lot of people have problem with, because children are highly influential. The brain doesn't stop developing until you're 25. Something that I found absolutely shocking. In London, we had a clinic called Tavistock Gender Assignment Clinic. This clinic found that 97% of children who were referred to this clinic for a gender reassignment were on the spectrum of, you know, autism, basically had some mental health issue. That is an astonishing number, 97%. Those who are on top and heavily pushing this agenda are profiting off mentally unstable people.
Now, what I would like to ask you, again, because you're standing here, and so you've brought your identity on the table for discussion. So how do you know that you're a woman?
It was first when I heard transgender persons describe their experience in their own words, and this was only about 2 years ago. Hearing somebody describe things, it was a woman from like England, describing her experience, her childhood.
Guys, this is really, really worrying, because what used to be satire has become real life. Satire has become real life, guys. What is going on?
Her teenage years. And it blew my mind to be listening to her, because it was just some podcast that I was listening to while I was like doing laundry. But it blew my mind to hear somebody so eloquently and precisely describe things that I had experiences
What
that
was
I
the
had
description?
experienced.
What did they say?
Okay, so I am honestly hesitant. I know that you touched earlier about the difficulty that transgender women might have in describing their identity, but I want to state, I honestly don't feel that you would engage in this conversation in good faith.
Notice when Matt Walsh said, okay, what did I say? What was the, you know, he's very straightforward. The trans mothers, their voice is shaky here, you know, they don't know what they're even talking about. This person's not there to have, you know, a genuine conversation. They're not even answering the question, they just kind of divert and go off topic. Like when Matt Walsh asks a genuine question, you know, to try and break down this delusion, this person just literally diverts the conversation elsewhere by stating something like, I honestly don't feel like you engage with this conversation in good faith, or again, you're not answering the question. You're just not. And what I find with this gender ideology is that the majority of people who belong to it are irrational, and they just want to live in their bubble, and they want you to affirm and validate their delusion. Whereas the minority of people I've seen actually kind of hold a debate, intellectually honest, and actually want to have a conversation and deconstruct gender, and they tend to try and separate sex and gender. And you know, at least you could say they make a bit more sense than these people, but it's still, regardless, it's a weak argument, because this ideology is baseless. You can't, no matter how many ways you try to play semantic games and semantic games to try and give it credibility, it's always going to fall apart.
But I want to state, I honestly don't feel that you would engage in this conversation in good faith.
Then why are
And
you here?
so-
Why did you stand up to talk to me if you don't want to have a conversation? You're saying that you discovered that you're a woman. I'm asking you how you did. That's a very fair question.
Okay.
How do you know that you're a woman?
That's fine. All right. So first of all, listening to transgender people, and it was like, okay, this is a one-off, one person describing these things. Things like looking at yourself in the mirror and not recognizing yourself. Hearing compliments like, you are such an example, like a positive masculine role model.
What this person is describing is body dysmorphia, when you feel like you're in the wrong body, and it's got to be really hard to deal with. I believe these people deserve to be helped and guided, but affirming their delusion is only going to lead them towards catastrophic results.
And being like, it feels like they're talking about somebody else. It means feeling alone, even when you're surrounded by guys, even when you have a lot of friends. And I was active in like Boy Scouts. I'm an Eagle Scout. I had great masculine role models my whole life, and yet I never felt like I belonged. I felt welcome and included.
Why?
There is a strong sense of wanting to belong to something, wanting to give meaning to your life. And I find a lot of these people who fully give their livelihoods to this gender ideology, I do find some of them to be victims, because people can be brainwashed. I mean, it is no misconception, guys, I've spoken about this before. I used to be radicalized. I used to be heavy leftist. I used to be one of those people that would get easily triggered. I definitely wasn't the one that would like screaming and shouting like those viral clips in America, but I was definitely unstable. And that is because I think deep down what you believe in is not truly your beliefs. It's been picked for you by mainstream media, or you just been brainwashed and you don't know why you think what you think. Because when you do know why you think what you think, you're able to deconstruct it straight away. Even if the other person challenging you disagrees with you, they're like, okay, that's an interesting perspective. I fear a lot of these people, they don't really have much going on. They lack meaning in their life. You're not going to find these issues in pragmatic societies. They don't have time for it. They're not here to affirm and validate you. Like, it's crazy, because the amount of privilege we have has led us to be highly individualistic, which is absolutely fine. Individualism is the fruits of feminism and liberalism, but it becomes problematic when you're trying to purport your ideas into schools. And there is a correlation between this thing becoming quite trendy, so people feel like it's not enough to be gay or just lesbian. They actually want upper surgery to appear more male.
But why does that make you a woman?
Because
as opposed to just a man who doesn't get along with some other men, or a man who's depressed, or a man who doesn't feel at home totally in his body, which, by the way, is a pretty universal human experience. Everybody goes through it at one time or another. So in what way does that make you a woman, though? And it's interesting, you're telling me that you listen to the experiences of other transgender people.
Well, yeah.
But what about women?
So
because trans women are women, you would say, right?
I would say that, yeah.
Exactly the same?
So if trans women were women, why do we use the word trans? I mean, just think about this logically. It's not the same thing, and everyone knows this. Also, they are trying to change language. Things like cis women, birthing women, feeding women, I find that abhorrent. And again, just playing semantics games and trying to confuse people. If you can't convince them, confuse them, right? I will never ever refer to myself as a cis woman or birthing woman. I am simply a woman. And guess what? No matter how entitled you are, no matter how many people tell you you can have whatever you want, blah, blah, blah. Even if you go through gender affirming surgery, you're still not a woman. Your biological sex is down to your bones. It's nothing, I'm sorry, but these entitled people literally need to come down to reality.
Okay, well then why do you need to hear the testimony of quote unquote trans women? Like how you pick any actual woman in this room? In what way do you know that you belong in the same category?
Matt Walsh is really good at debating these types of liberals, because what he does uses their own argument against them. He's also very good at using analogies to kind of mirror what they are saying to him, if that makes sense.
I know because they tell me. So here was
You need them to tell you what you are?
Women, yes. I trust the opinions of the women around
And
me.
if most
It's
women-
incredible. You might try it sometime.
If most women voted and said they don't see you as a woman, would you say I'm not a woman anymore?
He's so good. I'm yet to see the What is a Woman. I've seen a trailer of it and oh my god, it's absolutely shocking. Like, the liberals he was conversing with are beyond delusional. I do believe they're doing it on purpose. They're just not genuine people. I think they're just thinking about money.
If most women voted and said they don't see you as a woman anymore, would you then relent and say I'm not a woman?
I would say most people on the planet have no idea who I am. I'm going to trust the opinions of the people who've spent their lives with me.
But you are relying on other people to tell you who you are, is what we're establishing.
For context, I know you like to think, I know you like to say, everybody's rah-rahing and supporting transgender people and yet they're still killing themselves, etc. But I'm standing here in a room full of people applauding you.
Notice how this trans mother has a problem with people, with the audience applauding Matt Walsh here. Again, their ideology is all about what people think. It's all about like being quiet and like not answering certain questions, and they're also trying to change the way people think, in the sense that like if I ask someone what is women, these people will not answer the question. Instead they'll say, why do you care so much? Why, like, part of me wants to know why you care so much. I care because I want to live in reality. Forget God, forget, you know, subjective things. This is actual observable reality. And anyone can do this. This is what you call empirical evidence. You have two genders, a male and a female.
And asking questions like, how can I like put out legislation here in New Mexico, you know, my home state I grew up in, to try to reverse transgenderism? Like, I'm not safe.
How are you not safe? You just said you're standing in a room with people who disagree with you and you're perfectly fine. So how are you not safe?
I love the fact that Matt Walsh here has outlined the trans mother's victim points here. A lot of liberals tend to do this. It's all about, you know, victim points. It's all about you can't say this, you can't. They want to police how you speak. And not just police how you speak. They want you to participate in their delusion. It's a bit like we've updated morals and values that are told to us by our government, and you guys just need to all conform. And we saw this during the snowbid pandemic.
Okay, look, we're going round and round. You don't.
That was such an uncomfortable laugh. It kind of reminds me of the debate I saw with these feminists.
It's frustrating.
We live in a world where truth is being heavily suppressed.
I won't answer any of the questions. Maybe we'll end with this because we're talking about womanhood. So people can probably shout out the question I'm going to ask you right now.
Okay.
But you know that you're a woman.
Yes.
What is that?
So gender is a social thing. It only makes sense.
I don't want to hear that. What is a woman?
No.
What is a woman?
What is a woman?
The word woman, define in the dictionary. Go.
A woman is somebody who is included and respected and seen and participates in society, recognized by other women. If you speak with women,
circular definition.
That's mine. Whatever.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Matt Walsh participates in a lot of these debates, I think because of his movie, What is a Woman? Initially, this movie was heavily suppressed by liberals. They didn't want this to be out. It's just not a good representation for their gender ideology, which is currently being pushed in schools. So guys, I thought that was a fantastic debate. And if you ever wondered what is someone who's a narcissist, self-deluded, and all about them, that is what I got. I'm sure that person is trans mother. I'm sure they're actually a nice person, and you know, maybe they're not the type of person that would talk about themselves like that. I'm this, I'm amazing. Why is everybody so obsessed with me? Like, honey, whenever I see someone talk about them in that way, stop. I'm not interested in what you have to say. I want to know what people who are not necessarily your friends, just like co-workers, you know, people who worked with you, how do they perceive you? This is the starter pack of American woke culture. We need to all be concerned and worry and keep raising awareness about this topic, because this gender ideology is being introduced to children. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed that debate. If you have, make sure to like and subscribe. It really helps my videos be pushed out there, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.